So let's talk about Pokemon, since I was just talking about Pokemon.
I think one of the only real surprises with Pokemon Legends Z through A is
You
that
mean Pokemon 06? Because it looks like Sonic 06?
Nintendo and Game Freak aren't selling this for $80.
Dude, Sonic Unleashed looks better than this game.
Especially considering just a couple of months ago, Nintendo CEO went on full-on defense of their whole varying pricing model, but no, still $70 for what feels like a game that should be under $30 at this point. But specifically, the Pokemon franchise has been mired in controversy the last decade or so. I mean, I looked at Sword and Shield, the whole Dexit controversy, with the limiting of certain amount of Pokemon that were added to the game. A lot of fans were extremely upset by that. Nintendo, Game Freak, they apologized for it, said that they're going to do better. They love this franchise, and they're trying to make the best product possible. And everybody kind of scoffed at that because nobody really believes it. There was also
Yeah, and then we got this new game. So, you know,
some controversy with Arceus. It was a little less so because I think Arceus was enough of an upgrade that people were mostly happy, but the graphics was the thing that a lot of people pointed out. The fact that
with Arceus, I had so many of my friends who bought this game play it and were like, this game's fucking amazing. And then I never heard anything after that because they quit playing it. And that keeps happening, where everybody's like, oh, this game's awesome. And then it never gets any better than that point where they're like, this game's awesome. It just gets worse and more boring. And they realize how much there could be and isn't, and how much they removed from the soul.
these open worlds just look dated. They look like they're from the PS2 GameCube era, and that is a complaint that has only continued even with this newer installment. But things were really exploded with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That's when we saw user reviews go down the toilet. People were mocking the images that were coming out from the game, how barren the world was, the graphics, and many of the game mechanics that just feel like they're from 2004. That's just not good enough in this modern age.
What the
and
fuck?
Nintendo has apologized.
I've been out on Pokemon for a long time. I didn't know any of this was going on.
That was one thing that they did with Scarlet and Violet. They apologized for the performance issues and the graphical bugs that people were running into. They again said, we're gonna do better, but everybody again,
Dude, they need to go back to the old style of Pokemon. They have taught us, they have showed us that they're not capable of making games in 3D. And like, they've got Zelda. Nintendo pretty much has it locked down on what kind of games they come out with. And they've got Zelda the same price as Pokemon, and this game is worse than PS2 games. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Yeah, I'm like, at this point, I'm like, everybody who bought the Switch 2, I hope you're enjoying it.
just kind of scoffed at that because they know better. They know that this company can't be trusted, but unfortunately, what it comes down to is this. It is just the fact that these games just are massive sellers. Pokemon is a behemoth. It's up there with Call of Duty, EAFC, NBA 2K. Those staple franchises that really can do no wrong. Like, what I mean by that is that no matter what they do, no matter the controversy, they still end up selling millions upon millions of units. And specifically with Scarlet and Violet, it was pointed out that the game sold, as of I think it is 2025, almost 27 million sales. That is truly insane, and that just shows you why Nintendo and Game Freak continue to get away with what I consider the bare minimum with what is
That's why I'm pretty much out on this culture, because these people are fucking retarded. I mean, you want to keep eating shit, then all you're gonna get is shit.
gaming's biggest franchise. And that's why in 2024, when a little experience from Pocket Pair called Palworld started exploding on Steam, selling...
Yeah, I think that's probably why Pokemon sell so much, because there's a hunger for a game like this, and Nintendo just doesn't let any other game come out to compete with it. That's why they sell so much. And then Palworld came out and they were like, yo, we got to get rid of this. We can't be having competition. No way. They're going to outsell us. They're going to make everybody realize we're actually trash.
15 million units on Steam in its debut month or so. That got me excited, a little bit encouraged, because competition is good for the industry. We see that this year with Call of Duty. Battlefield is finally back. Battlefield 6 looks like it's a very fun experience.
Yeah, I'm already seeing, because people are making Call of Duty maps in Battlefield, that Activision's going to end up suing DICE.
and it has caused Call of Duty to be, they have to react to it, and they've taken down skill-based matchmaking despite things that they've said in the past, the excuses that they've given.
Dude, they finally took down skill-based matchmaking. Holy shit. After years and years of the actual fan base complaining and the casual players not knowing anything about it, they just hop in and hop out.
No more disbanding lobbies, and overall it looks like the Call of Duty community, they are getting a better product because there's a competitor there. Palworld, I thought that may have been a representation of good times to come, because Nintendo, Game Freak were going to realize that they couldn't continue to put out the slop that they've been putting out. Unfortunately, though, the reaction that they gave to Palworld was maybe a little less surprising considering their reputation of being very litigious, and yeah, that they've been going after Palworld with lawsuits, going after them with their patents, and causing Palworld.
I just think it's funny that a lot of the people that are into Nintendo are complete communists and are against corporations. I just think that's so hilarious. Oh man, I'm covering up his face. Why does everybody got to have different boxes everywhere?
To have to destroy various game mechanics and alter it just to satisfy the courts and such, and that is unfortunate, but it also has not come in the way of bringing a better product to players because Pokemon hasn't really improved. They've of course grabbed a couple of game mechanics that Palworld really popularized, but unfortunately we're still getting the crappy nonsense that we've been getting for the last number of years. And we've even had developers, industry veterans such as a former Capcom designer, Yoshiki Okamoto, sparking backlash in Japan by saying Palworld has crossed the line that should not be crossed. And yes,
yeah, that means that you cannot compete with Nintendo. You cannot make something better than Nintendo using the same mechanics that they use, even though it's a completely different game.
He was defending Nintendo here, saying that they crossed a line that should not be crossed, and I don't want the world to become a place where this kind of thing is acceptable. And what he means by that, it is currently a game, Palworld, that's being sued, so it's unacceptable. By playing the game, you are supporting it, so please don't buy it. And then he compared the developer to the Mafia, the Yakuza, which many
That's very ironic.
people took issue with, but it really is just bizarre to me, the stranglehold that Nintendo has over their fan base and really just the overall gaming community, in which so many people will defend them putting out experiences that really have barely evolved over the course of the last couple of decades. In my mind, that is totally unacceptable, and that's why all backlash that is being sent Nintendo and Game Freak's way, I just think it's totally deserved at this point. And that's why it's not too surprising that Pokemon Legends Z through A is getting fine reviews, fine from critics. Even when you check a lot of these reviews,
I don't trust critics. I don't trust critics at all. I only trust the players that I watch.
it's a lot of like, yeah, this isn't that great of an experience, but it's still better than what we've been getting. And again, it's just the bare minimum.
Yep, it's cope.
That this franchise is getting away with. And I really do think that a lot of these critic reviews are, if this was a different developer, a different publisher, they'd be singing a different tune. And yeah, some of the reviews, like I said, GameSpot's Pokemon Legends Z through A review of Battle Revolution, it successfully translates its iconic battle system to real time, but its visuals and presentation leave a lot to be desired. Eurogamer, a joyful proof of concept, but don't call it a comeback yet, under development. Lumio City could do with work, but Pokemon Legends Z through A is a much more tightly focused and delightfully goofy return to better form, at least.
Dude, they don't know. They have no fucking clue. Return to form! Return to form! Every time with these people. No, if it was a return to form, then they would just make the old top-down games. That's literally what return to form would be. What form is this returning to? Returning to the form of shit?
At least by modern Pokemon standards. Again, it's this last sentence that I think it really is striking to me about how many,
at least by modern Pokemon standards. There's that other that buzzword, modern. It's for the modern audiences. The modern audience doesn't want to play the old Pokemon games, even though we actually do. They're just not able to track that because we play them offline, because that's the only way to play them. Because whenever Nintendo releases something new, they're just like, well, Forget the old thing existed. We're not supporting that anymore. And we're actually going to actively shut you down if you try and support it yourself.
Journalists and just people that work in this industry view Nintendo and view Pokemon. And again, if this was somebody else, Call of Duty and any of these other franchises, I just don't think that you'd be hearing the same thing here. And the scores, I do think, would be drastically different. Gfinity, a trip to Lumio's City that feels rather underwhelming, still a 7 out of 10. I find this totally bizarre with the many criticisms that are constantly brought up within these pieces, in which it almost feels like they're scared to give Nintendo worse review scores. Gene Park, shout out to him, he was probably one
because then Nintendo wouldn't give them free stuff.
The most critical. He said Lumio's City is too much of a flat wallpaper for me to enjoy. And he goes on to bring up, he actually has screenshots saying, I took on my review, I can't stand looking at the same window textures across the one location in the whole game. Pokemon is supposed to be a grand adventure, not a closed loop of flat visual design, and yes, still really, really fun gameplay. And that is kind of the core thing. The gameplay is overall pretty fun with a lot of these newer installments. It's just everything else around it little less so. And yeah, he points out winter textures repeat in one area and then in another. And you can call that is laziness. It is absolutely laziness. Now, for those hopeful that Pokemon Legends Z through 8...
Yeah, but what are you going to do about it? If you're going to play a game like Pokemon, all you got is Pokemon. Because Nintendo sued every other company that's trying to make Pokemon-like games. Because they can't have competition. And that's the problem. That's why it sucks so much. Is because there is no competition.
Isn't going to be a massive seller, this controversy, this outrage is going to contribute to lower sales. Well, so far they're not as hot as they've been before. The UK charts show this, as sales are almost 50-50 across Switch and Switch 2. Launch sales 50% lower than Arceus, and that's rather interesting. But it's also worth mentioning that it's still comfortably #1 in the UK physical charts, and it's still a massive seller, a massive behemoth compared to the rest of this video game industry, which again just shows you how massive this franchise is, and how even when they're having an off year or things aren't exactly going the hottest as they've been in the past, it's still #1 in the charts.
And you also got to remember, this isn't actually a mainline Pokemon entry. This is a Pokemon Legends entry, which might be the new mainline. I don't know what they're doing anymore.
Now, it is worth mentioning, though, for those just understanding how much work and how much of a budget that this entry has, you can compare it to some of the other in this industry. You have like a Call of Duty experience. That is up there, $700 million they're spent on their yearly installment. Former Nintendo employees recently revealed that Pokemon Legends Z through A only needs to sell 200,000 units to break even. What that means is that it has an incredibly low budget, so low that it likely means that the budget is around $13 to $14 million. And there were some reactions to this.
I'm cool with that, actually. I'm cool with that budget. That's the kind of budgets that I'd like to see. But here's the problem. It looks worse than PS2 games that had similar or lower budgets. Like, what are we doing? I think they focused on things in the wrong area. I think they paid people that were focused on how do we fit the woke agenda, rather than making wall textures and making good open world design.
One of those I just strongly disagree with. Somebody saying, one of the biggest issues in gaming as a whole is the overspending on game development. Now, I agree that Pokemon should use more of its budget for its games, but it feels weird that we're slapping a studio for making a game on a small budget. Again, this is the biggest fucking franchise in gaming. They're going to sell probably 20 to 30 million units, make over $1 billion, and they're investing less than $15 million.
I don't mind that. But I think they focused on the wrong shit. Like, look how pretty the grass looks, but not this grass. You know what I mean? It's just like, what are we focused on here? We're also focused on a bunch of woke shit.
And the product isn't obviously, it's not a 10 out of 10. It really is bare minimum. I'm not a big graphics guy. I don't really care about stuff like that. But the open world, the environmental design...
Yeah, Pokemon at its best is a 7 out of 10. So this is definitely not a 7 out of 10.
Of these games is so lacking that I genuinely think it is that they want to deliver the bare minimum. And they won't...
I like the interior. The interior looks kind of nice.
Consider going...
But still, like, Why did they focus
Genuinely
so
think it
heavily
is
on
that
it?
they want to deliver the bare minimum.
Like, they focused a lot on the interior, actually. I don't get it.
And they won't consider going, improving or upgrading until they actually see a massive dip in sales. And then immediately people will give praise, even if they just do the bare minimum for the next title, or just like they bring the PS2 textures to the PS3. I think you need to understand that Nintendo Game Freak, this is a deliberate decision by them to make that budget that low. And yes, I do think it is totally unacceptable to have it that low, especially considering what it represents for gaming entirely. And I'm really not here for the argument of Game Freak and Nintendo. They're doing the best they can. This is the resources that they have allocated.
Oh yeah,
blah, blah,
they're definitely not doing the best they can.
blah, 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 blah. We've seen, just based a couple of months ago, evidence of what they can produce when they actually care. And that was Beast of Reincarnation, shown at the Xbox Game Showcase. And you know what? The one thing that many people were praising? The action, the design, the overall environments. It looked beautiful, and Pokemon fans were wondering...
Yeah, they could have taken 10% of that and made a cool Pokemon. Or even, like, why couldn't they just go all out and make the most well, I can tell you actually why they can't make the most badass Pokemon game ever, because where do they go from there? Like like corporations, they can't exactly do that because they have to meet the expectations of investors. And it's just like what Hideo Kojima said whenever he was making Death Stranding. If it was too fun, you got to take it out. You can't have stuff that's too fun, because where are you going to go in the next one?
Where the hell is that type of game for us? We've been waiting for it for decades now. And yeah, PC Gamer, Game Freak reminds us that it can be, well, it is more than Pokemon with Beast of Reincarnation, a one-person, one-dog action RPG about fighting robots and corrupted beasts in post-apocalyptic Japan. And this just brings us to what's happening with Pokemon Legends Z through A right now. Even the Switch 2 can't make Pokemon look good.
Yeah, if they would have even, like, gotten away from the 3D style and made it hand-drawn or retro style, cel-shaded even, this probably would have gone over so much better. I think a lot of it is the characters and the design of the world. That's pretty much what I'm hearing. And also, some parts, especially the beginning, just aren't fun. It doesn't make sense for open world for you to not be able to make choices and be in an open world in an RPG. And when it did give you a choice, it was like, here's your choices, yes, and other yes.
As fans compare Legend Z through A to a PS2 game. Again, those complaints that were happening with Sword and Shield and other entries over the years, it has continued with this new entry that is just released. And these are some of the videos that are going viral right now. This is one on TikTok in which, look, it's a graphical mess. There's those technical issues.
Yeah, it's worse than PS2. Because I've been playing a lot of PS2 games. They don't do this. Bro, Ratchet and Clank, up your arsenal. I'll even say the newest one on the PS2 besides Deadlock, but I'm gonna say the main line, Ratchet and Clank, up your arsenal, looks better than this game. What are we doing here? It runs better. It's better optimized. What the fuck is going on?
Issues that Nintendo apologized for years ago, but unfortunately they still continue. And this is a $70 premium experience that people are
because it's corporate slop
paying for. And here we have another video.
Okay. In a game based wholly in a city, you have to make the city feel good. And I'm like, my immersion is being killed when I'm walking through
Again, with this video, it brings up a point. Immersion and a big city. It's not just about the graphics. It's about making it feeling, living, real.
Yeah, what they should have done is had it mostly outside the city and let you go into portions of the city instead of the entire city being the scape. Because I think there's too much in the city for them to actually focus on making it look good.
They can do that with the other things that surround the environments.
Yeah.
But Nintendo Game Freak, they don't want to do that because that requires more time, more work.
alleyway, and there's two people sat right here. Like, are they a cafe? I don't even know, because this is a PNG window that I can't even...
Yeah, this is one of the games that, like, made Nintendo, Like, they were pretty big, but when Pokemon came out, that was astronomical, dude.
see through, you know what I mean? Like,
And this is just the state of these experiences here in 2025, unfortunately. And people continue to eat this stuff up. And there's other videos. Here's another one. This will be $70 plus tip plus.
I'm not seeing any normal people eat it up. I'm sure that there are some, but I don't even think my friends have played this one. I think they were out on it. Most of the ones that I was talking about playing the last one, like Legends Arceus, and were like, this game's great, and then didn't continue playing it. They didn't even get the Switch 2. Like, I don't even think they're playing a Switch. I think they're just moved back over to Xbox and PlayStation.
Tax, and yeah, here's a video of it. This is the experience people are.
Yep,
it's going to sell 20-30 million units, and look, it's barely functional. Oh my.
Yep. Oh.
And then there's the glitches and stuff that these games have become notorious for, that they apologized for years ago. And there's many.
Yeah, we can't have games just come out and work anymore.
More criticisms, more complaints.
Yeah, that's why I play old games, because they just fucking work.
This is another massive one. They won't even hire voice acting for these games. My God, how cheap.
No. Don't even bring that one up. I do not want voice acting, because they do everything shit. That's just one more thing, man.
It's gotten. This is an actual. It's supposed to be like a band, I guess, playing. They didn't even hire anybody to sing a song or anything.
Okay, that's a little ridiculous. If you're gonna have somebody singing, have them sing. That one's weird to me.
It looks so bad. One of the most embarrassing moments I've ever experienced in a video game. I genuinely cringed with this cutscene. This is the biggest media franchise in the world. This is inexcusable for Gen 10. It needs to have voice acting. And that'll maybe be the one new thing that they add with the next title. And people will be satisfied until they aren't, and then they'll add another little mechanic. That's how it goes with this company. That's the only thing that they'll do.
Yeah, and then they'll take out something, and then later people will complain about it. They'll be like, okay, we'll put it back in, but we're taking out this mechanic. And people are like, what the fuck? Well, I guess I'm buying it still. It's been like this for like almost a decade at this point.
And another person, here's a couple more of these scenes. They're still doing it like this, and it's really strange.
Damn, it literally has been almost a decade. Shit.
Like, again, if you're comparing this to an indie, a small developer, or anything, I would understand, like, okay, maybe this makes sense, but this is fucking Nintendo. This is Pokemon. This is a premium title. Yeah, totally immersive there, definitely. And yeah, that's the whole cutscenes. That's the whole entire game is like this. And some people eat this up. Some people love it. I don't understand it. Yeah, those are the cutscenes, and we've had articles coming from Polygon. Legend Z through A has fans begging for legit voice acting. That is just one of many mechanics that should be in these newer titles, especially if they're going to be charging $70.
What is this arena they're fighting in? Dude, this is worse than Kingdom Hearts. What are we doing? Am I losing my mind? What kind of backwards world am I in where people love this shit? Like, what is going on? I'd rather go back and play Newgrounds games than experience something like this. This is garbage.
And probably with newer titles in the future, it'll be 80. We have other things people are pointing.
Fucking full price game, dude. Full price game. I'm just glad they're not selling two of them.
It's also the dialogue. It's just, some of it's really cringy. I'm sick and tired of this life. I just want to smell Pokemon. Almost seems like it's AI generated. Hey, for water type moves, do you think Pokemon use their sweat or other bodily fluids? It's so weird. Like, it's funny, I guess. If I'm upset, giving my partner's Pokeball a little squeeze helps.
What the fuck? Also, your partners? What are you talking about here?
Another one. I've been cleaning up the droppings of wild Pokemon. Okay, that's the quality of the writing here.
Okay, so Pokemon poop now? Like Digimon? What? What? I know Digimon poop.
I guess in these modern times, it's also it's just embarrassing, really. And then look, it's not even just that this game is $70, because it isn't that. It's actually over $100 if you want the full experience. And
Yep.
yes, this was weeks ago it was announced, in which fans were lashing out over Legend Z3A's hefty tax on Mega Evolution. And as this article from IGN summarizes, Nintendo back in September, they had a direct announcing Mega Dimension, a $30 DLC that includes additional story content and allows fans to encounter 2 new Mega Evolutions, Mega Raikou X and Mega Raikou Y. 3 other Mega Evolutions were also confirmed, with small print revealing that these will only be available post-launch as rewards for completing an online ranked battles, which require a Nintendo Switch Online subscription. Goes on to mention, with Pokemon's Legend Z3A already $70 on Switch 2, fans were quick to note that the $30 Mega Dimension DLC announced weeks before the game's launch and available to pre-order already pushes the price of owning every new Mega Evolution for $100.
How much does a Nintendo Switch Online subscription cost? Was that like $15?
And on top of that, the need to have an active Nintendo Switch Online subscription only adds to the costs involved, so yeah, it is well over $100. And with each of the 3 granted over subsequent in-game seasons, players...
They're not even selling 2 games at this point. They usually sell 2 games. Now they're just selling 1 game and removing shit from it and requiring online services to be paid for on top of everything else you have to pay for in your life. Okay, eat up the shit. Oh, that you can have it. I don't get it, man. I do not get it. Man, the gaming culture and gaming industry is so fucked. I've got a link down there in the comments. You should definitely click it. Donate to the Fables Folly Farm.